Hey, I'm in a new place.
Wait a second.
Banjo-Kazooie.
What's that noise?
All hail
Who is that?
ukulele. All
What's going
hail
on here?
Shovel Knight.
I'm in a new
All
place?
hail Rare.
I don't understand.
Hail
Oh my god.
Platonic.
Shovel Knight and ukulele? Oh god! Hi everybody. I'm back, and I work at Vice now, which is pretty exciting. But that's not the point of the video. The point of the video is that today there was a blizzard in New York, and I'm home, so I decided to make one of these because I had time. I'm probably going to only do these on the weekends now because I work at Vice, as I mentioned previously. So, I figured I would just, do it from my new room, and show you that I think I'm going bald. I think you can tell that in the video, but that's not what this video is about. I'm in a pretty good mood, thanks to the fact that the so-called blizzard is really dead on arrival, so I got a free day off work. Yay! And there was a couple things that I've been playing in the last couple of weeks. Just a random assortment of stuff, and I really wanted to pick out tiny things from each on why I really like random ideas or things that these games did. And there's no real rhyme or reason to any of this. It's just sort of stuff I really like. So the first thing that I've been doing is I fell into a really deep rabbit hole, and I'm never getting out, where all I do now is play The Witcher 3 in an effort to beat everyone in Gwent and collect all the Gwent cards, and I'm also playing the closed beta of Gwent like a madman, to the point where I'm really considering stopping playing Hearthstone, which I've been doing every day for 3 or 4 years, however long that that game has been in a closed beta. And it's fascinating because I was playing Witcher 2, which they gave away for free on Xbox Live, the games with gold, and I was playing Witcher 2, and then I started playing Witcher 3, and I was like, this is a giant leap forward in every possible facet of making a game. And the one thing that I think maybe not a lot of people talked about, well, obviously people talked about the fact that Witcher 3 is an open world game, but the first two weren't, and that's a huge difference between those games. 2 and 3 is that the genre basically changed, and there's not a super long history of games sort of switching genres in its sequels, whether they be direct or indirect sequels in a franchise. But there are a number of examples of games that switched genres, and I think there's a bunch that worked out really well, and there's one I'll toss in here that didn't. And I find that fascinating, that you take this game, which was you basically start with genre, more or less. When you make a game, you start with, I don't know, sometimes maybe characters or story, but really it's the actual core mechanics of what you're doing in the game. That's the genre. What am I doing? I'm shooting. You're a shooter. Which, it seems obvious, but when you make a game that's successful and then the next thing you do, it's let's change the genre, you might end up keeping a lot of the same ideas and elements and sort of gameplay features, but that's crazy to me that they were just yeah, let's just make it open world now. What? That's preposterous. It's sort of that GTA 2 to 3 jump, where it's you were able to make that work. Obviously, it's a lot easier to do from 2 to 3 in The Witcher than it is from 2 to 3 in Grand Theft Auto. I'll grant you that. But there are some other games that do it well. Sly Cooper 1 is one of my favorite games ever, and the sequel to that went from being this very linear, level-based, with some mini-game sort of stealth thing, with hub worlds and unlocking doors, and then the second game is just completely a miniature Grand Theft Auto open world, where there's just 8 giant maps you can just run around and do whatever you want in, and the stealth in each one of those is is different, because in the first game it was a platformer and there was one path and there was clearly like a very tight design of where you're supposed to go and how you're supposed to do it. It's just a matter of how fast or good you were and learning those steps. And then the second game was just like, yeah, just do whatever you want. Play it however you want. And like, that's crazy to like sort of give that much freedom and license to sort of just let people either stealth or not stealth their way through a Sly Cooper game. And it ended up working out in both cases because I love both of those games for different reasons. Some of the reasons I'll get into later. Mario World to 64, like, I mean, they're still platformers, but just like that jump from 2D to 3D, I'm sure is almost as colossal as sort of switching genres. Ratchet 3, Up Your Arsenal to Deadlocked, it going from like a action platformy shooter game to like a strictly arena-based combat thing. I actually liked Ratchet Deadlock, but that was one of those things where they just took a very narrow focus and pumped out a game, just shot it out in like a year's time to make a sequel. At the same time that like Jak and Daxter 3 or Jak 3 went to racing, like Jak X Racing. This is like why would you change genres? Like, what are you doing? I'm not quite sure it worked out for Jak. I sort of like Ratchet Deadlock, but not many people do. I'm not going to defend that game. It's just whatever. I like those styles of game. And then the one that I think is the most infamous is Banjo-Kazooie. Way to bring that up again. Banjo-Kazooie. A vehicle? What? Like, you build a thing and like that was the most baffling, confounding thing. Like, just make a new character, just make a new world, or just do like a spin it. Don't put Banjo in it. There's never been like a history of Banjo being a mechanic. None of that makes sense. And every time that game had little hints of like collecting things or like running around and jumping, I was like, oh god, please just let me do this from now on. Which is why I'm so excited for Yooka-Laylee, which goes back to what the first two games genre was, which was just the most infectious, colorful, fun platformers you've ever seen in your lives. And so that's another thing that Banjo did really well that I think Yooka-Laylee has in spades, is this idea of there's so much joy in the game, and there's this real... how do I describe this? It's like this Japanese mentality of like not being afraid to break the fourth wall and make fun of yourself and know you're a game and embrace that you're a game. And I know that all these people, keep saying that like, oh, Western games are very serious and all the RPGs are Mass Effect and Skyrim and everything is Western and Japanese games are Let It Die and they're kooky and it's Yakuza and it's whatever. And there's like a very big tonal sort of shift when you look at like a lot of Japanese games, like, lots of Capcom games are silly and fun and Nintendo games are for kids and like all this nonsense. But like Rare / Playtonic, I think they're both in the UK. Like I'm going to consider them Western because they speak English. Sorry, that's I guess the determination, not the Western Eastern Hemisphere thing. And for me, like, it is so refreshing to see like a Western studio take this just completely bananas Ape Escape, Japanese mentality to like, we're just gonna just make exploring fun and just embrace it being a game and a platformer and just finding humor in that, as opposed to any other ways to do games that are funny. And like the UI, it just oozed this like weird passion and style and oeuvre of like, we're a game and we know it, as opposed to like Dead Space, where like everything in the UI is like part of the world and like it's very unobtrusive and they don't want you to know it's a game. They want you to feel like you're on the space station and you are Isaac and we're not a game. You're immersed. And Banjo-Kazooie and Yooka-Laylee, they're not afraid to just be like, no, we're a game. We're gonna tell you exactly how many things you've collected, because there's no sort of pretense here. We're not gonna make up some story reason for whatever the hell you're doing. Just run around and just have fun in a game, the like the jiggies, like just all that stuff is just like it's very rare for people to make platformers, and it's very rare for them to do it in that style. But I really enjoy that. And another thing I like about some games I've been playing, I also went through Resident Evil 4 because I got it for my Xbox One in HD, which is like at least the 5th time I've bought in Resident Evil 4. So fuck you, Capcom, for making me rebuy that game over and over. But I'm happy to do it because that's like one of the greatest games ever. It's one of my favorites. Resident Evil 4 and Sly Cooper 1, 2, 3, and I guess 4. Those two games do something also that I find really intriguing, is that those games are not narratively focused. They are not story driven. Obviously, one is a stealth platformer, and the other one is like a action horror survival shooty thing. But they're not afraid to like drop in story in places that you wouldn't sort of expect. Like, I feel like when you play Mario and you're just like looking at all the enemies you're running around, sort of stomping on or avoiding, they're just there, right? Like, there's no explanation for any of that stuff because they're just enemies. They're just fodder. That's fine. You know, you can leave the Bowser storylines for the Paper Mario in RPG games. For me, there's something so cool about, like, when I first played Sly 1, I was so impressed by every level they gave an explanation of who you were fighting as the final boss and why they were a villain and what their backstory was, to actually make you either sympathize or sometimes empathize with those characters in a way that you were like, I understand why they're there, I understand what they're doing, I understand what they went through, I understand more about their life. And I mean, obviously, like, those, you know, each game has like 5 or more bosses that, like, you know, help to screw you over, so you're obviously getting revenge. But it definitely does it does a thing that I feel like not enough writers do, which is just like, hey, people sometimes have to do bad things, not because they're bad people, but because they're put in bad circumstances. Like, I am poor, I have to steal to eat, or like, you know, I was raised rich and spoiled, and now I'm going to a life of crime because I have more freedom in how I get to live my life, and I was picked on as a child, and I wanted to become strong and gain power and control over the people who once picked on me. Like, there are all these relatable things that these Sly Cooper bosses have that, like, I just don't see anymore. It's always like Thor 2, it's like, I am a magical elf god, and like, there's been 1,000 years of war and revenge and yada yada yada, I don't care. But with those Sly Cooper bosses, like, I don't know, there's just something like, there's like a little tiny part of me that is like, man, like, I wish you could, like, just not be evil, because like, you would be really cool. And some of those later games, like, actually made the bosses heroes, and they sort of became anti-heroes and they flip sides or whatever, which is really cool because I like them. Like, I understand them, they're unique and they're different, and they have a certain point of view, which I think is fascinating. And in the same token, Resident Evil 4, when you get to the Krauser section at the end of the game, like, when you get to that boss fight, he, like, asks you questions, like, personal questions in the middle of this boss fight, and it is so unexpected, and you're so not, like, you're, like, in the moment, you're trying to, like, figure out how to beat him, and your ammo, and blah blah blah, and what gun to use, and where he is, and he just starts asking you stuff about life. And, like, I just find that amazing. I find that fascinating that he does it, that they just snuck that in there. As in, like, no, these are two people who have a backstory, and this is maybe their final moment together, because one of them might kill the other. And there's just this nice moment where they just get to have a little chat before they shoot each other, and one mutates his fucking arm or whatever. And, like, I wish more games did stuff like that. I really wish more games did stuff like that. And I guess I'll circle back around to the beginning. And The Witcher 3 does a lot of this. The Witcher 3 has a lot of these really great elements, where, like, the cards in Gwent are made by the people in the world of all the bigger-than-life heroes and villains that they sort of encounter in the monsters. So, like, the Gwent cards tell a story that will live on forever. And when you play those cards, not only have you like met these people and interacted with them, but like you sort of get the sense of like, oh my god, like there's a reason why these people like made these cards and like play this game is sort of the same reason why we do it in real life. And the way they set up certain characters in that game, like the Bloody Baron, like that whole quest is amazing. Where you're just like, you know what, like this is how I want evil people, quote unquote evil people, to be, or real people with real problems, and they dealt with it in real ways, and they suffered the consequences, and it is not some 1,000-year revenge plot, and it is not just cartoonishly evil or what. Like, that game really does so many things well, with regard to world building and storytelling, and obviously there's like a gazillion things to do. That game will take you forever, and obviously some of it's hit and miss. You know, like you'll just run into a guy, he's like, hey, I got a monster I gotta kill, or like, you know, like some of them sort of go nowhere, but yeah, so all of these different things I like in all of these games, and I'm very much looking forward to playing more Witcher 3 and more Gwent, and maybe I'll do a video on Gwent, who knows. And Yooka-Laylee, I'm really, really, really excited for Yooka-Laylee. I feel like a lot of my energy for this game is like it's starting to get there, because we're getting close, and I'm really excited, and there's really no great way for me to like channel that in any good way, because like most of my friends aren't gonna buy, and they don't care because they don't play platformers anymore, and it's not like a game you can like play with other people. So like I guess I just had to make a video of me bowing and praying to Banjo-Kazooie, I guess, to tell you how excited I am for that game. So there you go. This was really long and rambly, but I like it. So thank you for watching. You can follow me on Twitter at @JaredRusso. I don't think you'll be seeing anything I do at Vice unless I get picked up for Waypoint, God willing. So hopefully, but in the meantime, I will randomly post stuff on a website or two and here. So don't come looking back frequently. I used to crank these out all the time, and now I'm sort of just doing them like once a week maybe. But I'm writing more, so I have a bunch of written stuff on my Twitter. You can go check it out there. Or you can go to freshlypopculture.com. That's a place where my friend has a website. I'm posting all that crap there where I rank stuff. I ranked Overwatch legendary skins. I ranked Simpsons fake video games. I'm doing a whole bunch of weird stuff on there. So thanks for watching, and see you next time.